Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Am I the bonehead for opening a fake gift during a family Christmas party? Every year, my family does Christmas at my mom's, and she insists that we open all presents together, even gifts between spouses, etc. It's normally an okay tradition, but sometimes it can spark jealousy or comparisons between families. This year, my husband saved up and bought me my dream designer handbag for Christmas. I know some people aren't into that, but it's something that I truly love. We're not well off, but we're not doing poorly either, but I knew that the handbag would cause a lot of discussion amongst my siblings and parents. I just didn't want their opinions and criticisms to ruin a special gift my husband worked hard to get for me. So, this year, my husband got me an extra gift. That wasn't the real gift. It was a moderately priced skincare set. Christmas came and went without drama, but I recently posted a picture of my husband and our kids at dinner, and my handbag could be seen hanging off the back of my chair. One of my friends commented underneath about how gorgeous my Christmas gift was as well. Long story short, word got back to my family, and they totally blew up. Some were annoyed that I opened a private gift separately from the family. Others were criticizing the price of the gift. My siblings are now calling me disingenuous for harboring a secret gift, and they said that I did it because I think I'm better than them. I didn't open it with them because I didn't want their opinions, but now I'm starting to feel like a bonehead for keeping it a secret. I knew either way they'd all criticize me though, since it was so much more expensive than all other gifts. So I don't know whether or not I'm wrong. Not the bonehead, and honestly, it's time you be 100% bluntly honest with them. Screen cap all their snarky comments and send a group chat. Basically, just point blank put your feelings out there. Call out the jealousy, the criticism, the comparisons, and competition. If you can, give specific examples of such things so that they can't go, "Oh, that's in your head." If they cop to it and say that they're fine with it, tell them that's fine, but that you are not. And honestly, after their reaction to the bag, I would tell them that you and your family are considering stepping back from the tradition due to how tiring it's become. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do any of it. You can have Christmas at your home. You can visit other relatives. You can go away for the holiday. No one gets to tell you when and where you and your spouse exchange gifts. Your mother wants to see what everybody gets? Too bad. And unless you're borrowing money from them, your siblings get no say on what you and your husband spend on gifts for each other. Why are you allowing your mother to dictate when you, a grown woman, are allowed to open gifts from your husband? You're not the bonehead for opening the gift your husband gave you, but you're being a bonehead to your husband, engaging in this farce where your mother controls you to the point you had to open a fake gift. Seriously. Time to grow up. Tell your mother that your family will be opening gifts Christmas morning before visiting your mother. You will no longer open your husband's gifts in front of her, because that's a special moment between the two of you. It's also none of your mother's or siblings' business what he gets you or how much was spent. Honestly, this is so controlling, and it's what caused all this stupid sibling rivalry. Your mother made it your siblings' business what your husband buys you for Christmas. Nope, that ends. Don't discuss it. Don't engage. Just inform them that you will go to mom's house after you've opened presents at home. When they get mad, say it's not up for debate. If they persist, leave. Am I the bonehead for insisting my sister buy my son a new PlayStation? My 10-year-old son got a PlayStation for Christmas. My 4-year-old nephew stuck a piece of ham in the disc part and tried to turn it on. He also dropped a controller on the hard floor, damaging it very slightly. The PlayStation is okay, but I'd rather my sister buy my son a new one and take this one. My sister said I was being ridiculous, and that one is still fine. I told my sister unless she buys it, I'm not having them over again. Not the bonehead. Sony won't honor the warranty if something goes wrong in 2 weeks, and they open it up and see ham juice leaked somewhere in there. Your sister should have been supervising her child. When my kid was that age, I watched him like a hawk, because 4-year-olds do 4-year-old things, and I knew it was my responsibility to replace anything he damaged. All of that being said, you shouldn't be telling your sister the nephew can't come back until the PS5 is replaced. You should be telling her the nephew can't come back until she will keep an eye on him enough to ensure he isn't damaging things in your home. The kid was unattended long enough to get some ham. Take it to the console, get the console open, insert the ham, push some buttons, then wing a controller. That's not an accidental spill. That's your sister ignoring her kid that then voided the warranty on a $500 console. Not the bonehead. Honestly, your sister probably shouldn't come back with your nephew until he behaves better, or she can actually watch him. He's 4, so weird stuff happens. He's also 4 and sticking ham into machinery and smashing electronics while mom is refusing to take responsibility for stuff he's actively rampaged on. Just seems like the type of parent who goes, oh well, he broke X, but he's a kid and I won't pay if he visibly destroys something. I feel bad for your son. He just got an expensive gift and his cousin immediately started trying to wreck it. Even if it's not broken now, there's a chance the grease from the ham is eventually going to damage the internal mechanisms. Just like how your phone may work after dropping it in the pool, it's obviously not going to work as well as it could be, and sometimes it takes a while for the internal stuff to corrode. Edited to add. Just realized the controller is already visibly damaged, and she's not offering to pay for that either. My point above stands. My young cousin once came around and crammed Pokemon cards in my PS3's disk drive. I managed to get them out, and it seemed to work fine for a couple of weeks. Then it stopped loading disks entirely. They found fragments of cardboard in the disk drive and wouldn't honor the warranty. Nah, and never let kids play with your consoles. Am I the bonehead for not wanting to pay for my stepdaughter's trip with her mom? My stepdaughter, 11, who is with her mom most of the time, has one of those trips to DC coming up. Mom previously went with her older daughter and signed stepdaughter and herself up to go in 2025. Our custody order states any extra expense over $200 has to be agreed upon before either is obligated to pay. We were not consulted, just told it was done and to start paying. Some history here. 2019, my husband and I took our son on a last-minute trip to visit my dad's side of the family. Mom got upset, stepdaughter didn't get to go, and showed her our pics on social media to make her mad at us. 2021, we take both kids on a trip and ask if mom will send some spending cash, like $100, so stepdaughter can get souvenirs to bring home to them, and she said no, and she shouldn't have to pay for our vacation. 2023, we took both kids to Disney World for Christmas, and while she said she would, she didn't send anything with her. Fine, we had them doing chores and saving all year for spending cash. We said no to paying for half of the $2,600 trip and are legally not required to. This was an opportunity through the school but is not a school-sponsored trip. Mom already thinks yes, but am I the bonehead? Not the bonehead. She doesn't kick in money for trips you take your stepdaughter on. Why should you have to help bankroll a trip she's taking your stepdaughter on? Not the bonehead, but lose the we when referring to the parents' custody arrangement. As an attorney who used to do family law, nothing gums up the custody agreement works faster than a parent's new significant other. You don't have squat and should not be taking charge on this. Leave the parenting to the parents, especially since father doesn't have even half physical custody. You're the bonehead. Nowhere in here are you considering what should always be your number one priority. What is best for the child? Instead, you're worried about tiny tit-for-tat trades of, Mom showed stepdaughter pictures on social media of our family vacation, which, by the way, it's incredibly hurtful for stepkids and half-siblings to be left out of family vacations because their stepmothers don't care to include them in their definition of family. Mom should have shielded her daughter from that hurt, but complaining that mom didn't shield daughter from hurt that you caused is pretty ridiculous and petty. And mom wouldn't give her $100 for spending money for souvenirs for our vacation to Disney. Stepdaughter will not care about what you are legally not required to do. She will only care that her stepmother and father engaged in this terrible back and forth and getting out of paying for her school trips. You can afford it. I see that you went to Disney for Christmas, one of the most expensive times to go, and have taken numerous other vacations. You're not hurting for money, and $1,300 for a school trip is not going to break the bank. Your husband is her father, and sure, he's not legally required to, because mom didn't get prior authorization, but not paying for the trip, and continuing down this path of you and your husband treating his daughter like a second-class family member and inconvenience is a bonehead move. You're the bonehead here. Your husband is the bonehead here too for allowing this to continue to happen and for not stepping up to be a father. Am I the bonehead for refusing to pay for the expensive boots my puppy ate? We, male and female, 50s, have a 9-month-old puppy. I've struggled to train him and hired a professional trainer to help us out. Even so, he does puppy things like chewing anything he can find that looks interesting. He has lots of specific dog toys, but they're clearly not as well designed as all the human-owned things that are so much more desirable to his puppy brain. Over Xmas, my brother Ray, 37, and his husband Kevin, 50, wanted to stay with us. I refused at first, but finally agrees in because accommodation is insanely expensive in the summer holidays. Before I agreed, I gave them the full rundown on the puppy's behavior. I told them they can't leave anything on the floor, and the door to their bedroom has to be shut whenever they're not there. To make things easier, I cleared out the top shelf of the cupboard for them and bought several boxes with lids that click into place. When they arrived, I reminded them again. My point was demonstrated when the puppy came trotting out to greet them with a pair of safety goggles in his mouth. I didn't even know I owned safety goggles and have no idea where they could have come from. Maybe he convinced a passing tradie to throw them over the fence to him? Anyway, Kevin bought a new pair of R.M. Williams boots. He left the box on the floor of the living room, and the puppy devoured them. He's demanding I pay to replace them, because it was my dog that destroyed them. I'm refusing, because I gave him fair warning and provided a secure place to store anything he didn't want chewed up. They also insisted on staying here, claiming they couldn't afford accommodation. But I pointed out that if Kevin can afford $650 for boots, he can afford a couple of nights in a local hotel. I think in the right, but my husband thinks I should pay. He said I'd be upset if the dog ate my boots. I said the dog did eat my boots, although mine weren't $650, and I changed my behavior to avoid it from happening again. Husband says it's not fair to expect people to remember, but I think that's a silly argument, and said if he really thinks we should pay, the money will come out of our joint account. Now he's sitting in the living room with Kevin, and they're both sulking. Edit for further context. This blew up a bit overnight, so I thought I'd add a bit more information. The puppy is crate trained and responds to his commands about 90% of the time. The living room the boots were left in was upstairs. The puppy is not allowed up there, and there is a gate at the bottom of the stairs that Kevin constantly left open, despite me reminding him to keep it closed and putting a sign up that says, "Shut the gate." However, I do not like Kevin, and I put up with him for my brother's sake. When reflecting on everything, I asked myself, would I replace the boots if it was anyone else? And I might, but I don't know anyone else that would stay at my place that would be so oblivious to the precautions needed to protect their belongings. My sister and her spouse and kids stayed earlier in the year, and one of the kids left their Skechers on the floor in the downstairs lounge room. The dog ate them, and I offered to replace those, but my sister refused because the kids, 15, 17, 19, are old enough to take responsibility and had been warned not to leave things lying around. And that was at the time before the trainer had been engaged, and the puppy was just a ball of undirected destructive chaos energy. I also sent them a text before agreeing to allow them to stay that said, "Dudes, the risk is yours. If the dog eats your expensive toys, that's on you. You have been warned." Not the bonehead. This is the first post of this kind I can remember saying this. Typically, you're always responsible for whatever your child or dog ruins, regardless of the price. But you not only warned them, but even provided them with alternative places to store their belongings. They failed to do so, since you warned them of the danger, yet they still failed to protect their belongings. They, and only they, are responsible for the damage that you point-blank told them would occur if they failed to do so, not the bonehead. I was so ready for "you're the bonehead" vote, but clearly this is not the case. You warned them, provided them with extra precautions, cleared an area for belongings to not get chewed up, and he still didn't listen. That is completely on him, not the bonehead. How the hell can you forget about a bundle of joy and holy terror that is everywhere at once? You told them. You provided solutions. If your husband thinks you should pay, let him do it. I can't see why anyone would spend that kind of dough on something and then be so careless. Not the bonehead. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next Reddit story. Take care.